Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Koala English Podcast. I'm Caroline, and I'm really glad you're here today. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped mid-sentence and thought, wait, is it classic or classical? Maybe you were talking about music, or a movie, or even a mistake you've made. And suddenly, you weren't so sure anymore. If that's happened to you, don't worry. You're definitely not alone. Even very advanced English learners, and honestly, sometimes even native speakers, pause and think about this one. These little word endings can be surprisingly tricky.
You know, there are these tiny little things in English that can really trip you up. And today, we're tackling a big one. The suffixes ice versus ICAL. They look so similar, right? But using the wrong one can be a real giveaway. So, let's get this sorted out once and for all.
So, let me ask you something. When you're talking about Mozart or Beethoven, is it classic music or is it classical music? If you've ever had that little moment of hesitation, you are in exactly the right place.
And hey, don't feel bad about it because you are so not alone. This one gets even advanced speakers all mixed up. But here's the good news. There's actually a super simple pattern behind it all. And today, we're going to break it down.
So, what's the big deal? Well, even though they look almost identical, native speakers use them in completely different contexts. Sometimes picking the wrong one just sounds a little weird, but other times it can totally change the meaning of what you're trying to say. All right, let's get right to it. There's one simple core pattern that is going to unlock this whole puzzle for you. I promise, once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. Okay, here it is. This is the whole shebang. Think of words ending in ic for real life. We're talking about actual experiences, objects, things you can see and touch. And then think of ical for ideas. This is for all the abstract stuff, the systems, the categories, the fields of study about those real-life things. Let's look at some ick words. An electric car. That's a real thing, right? You can drive it. A classic mistake. That's a specific action that happened. An economic problem is a real-world issue affecting people. And a historic moment is a single event that actually happened. See? It's all practical. It's all grounded in reality. Now let's flip that coin and look at ICAL. We don't say electric engineering, we say electrical engineering. That's the whole field of study. It's not classic music, it's classical music, a formal genre or category. You have economical planning, which is a system for saving money, and historical research, the academic study of the past. It's all about the concepts and the structure. Okay, so we've got our rule, real life versus ideas. Let's put it to the test and see how it holds up with some of the most common pairs you're going to run into. First up, classic. We use this one all the time in daily life, right? It's informal, it's often emotional. Think of a classic movie that everyone knows and loves, or when your friend is late again and you just go, ah, classic. It's something we all instantly get. Classical, on the other hand, is a bit more, well, buttoned up. It's more formal, more academic. It's for established traditions and historical periods that you would study in a structured course like classical literature or classical architecture. So here's the perfect way to see it. You enjoy a classic movie. That's a real-life experience. You study classical music. That's the formal idea, the category. Makes sense, right? Next, let's talk about historic. This is a big one. Something that is historic is a single important event that makes history. A historic day, a historic discovery. These are huge, game-changing moments that people will talk about for years. But historical is different. It just means, hey, this is related to the past. It doesn't have to be important at all. You could have a historical document that's just an old shopping list. A historical film is just a movie set in the past. It's all about information, not impact. So, to really nail this down, a historic agreement creates history. Historical documents are just from history. One is the event itself, the other is the evidence we study later. All right, let's talk money. When you hear the word economic, your brain should immediately go to the big picture stuff. We're talking about a country's economy, global finance, economic policy. You know, the things you hear about on the news. Now, economical, that's all about your wallet. It means being efficient, saving money. An economical car saves you gas. Buying in bulk can be more economical. It's about your smart personal financial choices. So there it is, side by side. The news report talks about economic growth for the whole country. But you, when you're shopping, you're just looking for an economical car to help your own budget. Okay, now that we've got the main rule down, let's dig into the really interesting part. Because the choice between Ike and ICAL isn't always just about the dictionary definition. It's also about formality, the situation you're in, and even where you live. Formality is a huge deal here. You know, in just everyday casual chat, we almost always go for the shorter, punchier Ike words. But if you're writing a paper for school, you're going to use the more precise, structured all words. And in a professional setting, you kind of switch back and forth. Maybe use Ike in a quick chat, but then all in a formal report. And get this, culture matters too. It's fascinating. While the rule is pretty much the same everywhere, you'll find that speakers in the US and Australia tend to use those short Ike forms way more often in daily conversation. Speakers in the UK can sometimes lean a little more formal, even when they're just chatting. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so let's boil it all down into one final, super easy takeaway that you can actually use every single day. First, let's just quickly look at these common trip-ups one last time. It's classical music because it's a formal genre, an idea. It's a historic moment because it's one important real-life event. And that car is economical because it's a smart choice for your wallet. Just getting these three right will make your English sound so much more polished. So if you remember just one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. The next time you're about to speak, just take a half second and ask yourself, am I talking about a real life thing? If yes, use Ike. Am I talking about a system or an idea? If yes, use L. It's honestly that simple. And look, at the end of the day, this isn't just about memorizing rules to sound correct. It's about understanding the choices that native speakers make without even thinking. Now that you've got this down, you're not just more accurate. Your English is going to sound clearer, more natural, and way more confident. And that's proof that sometimes the biggest improvements really do come from paying attention to the smallest details.
If you enjoyed today's episode, take a moment to notice these little word endings the next time you're listening to English or having a conversation. And if you'd like, feel free to share your thoughts or examples in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes where we break down real English in simple, practical ways. Thanks so much for listening to the Koala English Podcast. I'm Caroline, and I'll talk to you again